job or driver or a file, try as well the 32-bit version first, and contact SA International to support. We have a lot of drivers due Corona and the COVID situation. We could not test all the 7,000 printer/cutter drivers. So make sure you test in the 32-bit version as well, and let us know if you have any issues in the 64-bit platform. So both applications are available, 32-bit as well as the 64-bit application, but for now I'm running the 64-bit, of course. So we have some new features in Flexi 21. So I will cover the most exclusive ones, the most new ones. We have new production features. We have new contour cut features. As well, we have some extra features which will make your life a bit more easier and hopefully less frustrations when using the software. But that's at the end. So first I will start with some new production features. So first I will start with the new feature called variable data printing. So variable data printing is printing of a set of documents with mostly shared elements, except for certain text or images that change from document to document. In Flexi, this starts with designing a template by loading a sample file, or starts with a new design in Flexi, and assigning which elements are to be used for variable data, and then specify the data to be used, instantiate those elements. So it's a bit based to the auto serialization tool that we are using in Flexi before, but now with the variable data tool, we will link this to our output, so to our print and cut shop. So if we have a list of data, we can make a data file, design a file in Flexi and link the data to the file. So let's start with a small example. So for the variable data file, I want to create a sort of entrance card for a fictive company. So my company has a logo as well. So I will import the logo in Flexi. Okay. I want to make it transparent first. So bitmap, vectorize, color trace. This is known by a lot of people. Okay, and I set 4 colors, hit apply, and I will remove the background bitmap. So I have my logo vectorized. Okay, then I will have to make my card. So I go to the rectangle tool and I make a card of 85 by 55 millimeters with a rounded corners, of course. This is probably all clear for you, and you all know this process of creating those rectangles with rounded corners. All right. I'll set this as a wireframe, and my logo can be positioned in the corner of the card, like so. Then we will add, so I will show first the data list that I have. So let's go to my documents and show you the data file that I have created. I have some issues with the monitor. Okay, so this is the data file that I've created. So what I have is a name and the password of the entrance for the door to open. So this is just a combination of 4 numbers. So this is a CSV file that I have created. So what I can do with the CSV file afterwards is import the data list in Flexi. So I have 2 things I can replace. As well, I have the pictures. So I will open the pictures. I have photos of the of the workers of the company to as well print on the cards. Okay. So I need the name, and I would suggest to take one of the names of the lists of the data list, or a longer name. It does not really matter, but it's just for the dimensions of the data string. So let's say we have international, like so. We can give it a font or a color. Let's say we create this color, have this color here. Okay, smaller. As well, we have the data, so the code to open our doors. So for the people who are attending right now, we are making an entrance card for our company, for a fictive company. So in this case, we have a password of 4 numbers. Let's say 1111, and we go to effects, to text. Text, data matrix, and we select text to data matrix. Okay, like so. And we can as well give it a specific color, like so. Okay, so we have the name and the passcode, the password to entrance. As well, we need the photo on the cards. So let's say file. No, we have to make a rectangle first, or a circle. We want to fit the photo in the circle, so we have like an outline. Okay, make this blue. Copy this one, and I say paste over. That's what I need as a string. Let's say we need a rasterized object to fill the photos in it. So for photos and bitmaps or PNG files, we need something which is rastered already. So we created a circle, and let's say we have to rasterize it. So we go to bitmap, rasterize, and we keep it 150 dpi, for example. Let's press OK. In this case, we now have a rasterized object. So all our photos that I showed before will be positioned in that place. Okay, so we have the name. Let's align this one. Control undo. Align this one to the photo. Okay, and we have the data matrix object. Okay, what we want as well is a cut contour. So let's say we go to Effect, Contour Cut, and we create a contour cut with an inline of 0.5 millimeters, for example. Apply. Now the only thing we have to do, so we have created all our elements, we have to make those elements a variable data element. So how can we do this in Flexi 21? Is using the variable data toolbar. Right mouse click in the menu toolbar, and we have the variable data toolbar here. Okay, so we have the variable data toolbar. Okay, and you'll see some icons in the toolbar. So to convert our elements to variable data, we have to use the first icon. So international, convert to variable data. The data matrix, convert to variable data. And the bitmap, convert to variable data. You will see now the elements, they get a keyword in the top. So if we click the international word and you go to the Design Central, you will see the keyword and the variable string. So the keyword, so the variable string needs to be, the keyword needs to be the first word of the list I showed, so the Excel list. So let's reopen this one. I will open it with Notepad. So you will see the keyword is called name. So here in the variable, in the keyword, there needs to be the word name. We keep scale to fit and proportional on and hit apply. As well for the keyword of the data matrix. This is called data. So the keyword needs to be data. For the bitmap, we will import the photos by copy and drag. So in this case, the keyword is fine. We can leave it bitmap, but for this example, we change it to photo and hit apply. Okay. Now we have to import the data list. So we go to the second icon of the variable data toolbar and click edit. And there will be a pop-up window shown, and we will load the data file via load data file. And the keywords on the first row option is checked because in our list, the keyword is on the first line. This setup of CSV file is the same method that we're using for auto serialization. So always export as CSV, as a CSV file. So we load the data file and we map the data column to name, and the name data to name, and the data for the data matrix to the data keyword, and the photo we leave it open because we will import the images later. So press OK, and you'll see the names and the data is imported correctly. Only the photos of the workers we will have to import. So we can go to the photos and we can simply drag them into the photo section, like so. So there is a path defined to the photo, and when we can check it, okay, it looks fine, and we can press OK. If you press OK, you'll see nothing really happened, meaning we still have to check the preview of the variable data. So you can click preview variable data, and you'll see all the names and the data matrices and the photos are imported. I'm using the Design Central to check all my pages. Of course, you will have to match the names and the photos in forehand because probably this guy is not named Roxanne, but you will have to match them before. But you'll see the workflow of the variable data. And of course, the most important thing is we can send them to the printer. So make a print and cut job. So we have our data list imported. We have our cut contour and our file. We can go to rip and print. Go to rip and print. And if you have variable data in the file, you will see an extra tab at the end of the tabs called variable data. So here we can apply the variable data and preview it. So if we take a closer look, you will see the files are generated correctly. Looking very good. So if you send this to the printer, you will also generate a print and cut file. So it's very easy to generate variable data now with Flexi 21 using the variable data feature. Does anyone has questions regarding this feature? So set the distances between the copies. We can go to the General tab, and here we can set copies between the spacing between the copies. Okay. So this is a very, very nice tool. Elisa, yes, we can save the file in Flexi, and it will be saved as a variable data file. So you can as well save the current document as a variable data template. And afterwards, you can import the templates. So if you have a job that needs to be printed on a weekly or a daily basis, we can save the template. Can you save and preview the variable data in Flexi to preview to a customer? I will check after the webinar. This is probably possible, but not something which is very obvious right now. So I bet we will check this later. Okay, please note down your questions for the variable data feature, because I will go on to the next feature. No, Christophe, the paths for the pictures are still absolute. So if the location of the changes of the pictures, so if you change them to another folder, you will have to re-import them. Elisa, in Excel, you can just use the columns, and it just needs to be tab delimited. So you can just use your columns and export as CSV. Okay, so this was the variable data printing tool. This will come back in a later feature, because we will use the file we created here for a next job as well. Okay, as well, for later purposes, we will make the back of the card as well. So let's separate it. And this will be quickly the back or the front of our card. Like so, for example. Okay. So for the next feature, is called printing files as layers. So this is also a production feature. This is a production manager feature. So let's go to the production manager. Okay, and really quick, printing files as layers feature is you can create and print layer jobs that is made of 2 or more separate files for printers that would support printing multiple layers. So this is very important. This option is only for printers that supports multi-layer printing. So for example, I have 3 EPS files. So I have the color, the file with the colors. I have the file with for the white printing, and I have a file for varnish printing, for example. So I can select them all 3 and add them to Production Manager. This is usually for printers that are using spot colors like white and varnish. Please note that the files needs to be exactly the same height and width. So files are loading in. As well, this webinar is recorded and will be uploaded to our YouTube channel. As well, all attendees will receive an email afterwards with a link to the recording, so you can always have a look later on. It takes some time to load the jobs. Right again. I have a question of Andrew. Is the Mimaki UCGV 300 printer cutter fully supported in Flexi 21? Yes. So we have the Mimaki UCGV 300 drivers. Okay, so I have my EPS files imported. So they have same width and height. What can we do now is we can select all 3, right mouse click, and select the create layer job option. So create layer job. There will be a pop-up window opening, and we can define the every separate file to a color mode or a white mode, for example. So first EPS is a color job. We have for the second one a white, print as white, and the third EPS is print as varnish. If we press OK, you'll see Production Manager will generate a multi-layered multi-layer job of 3 separated files. So very handy tool. This, of course, what I said before, this is something driver related. So a lot of printers does not support this type of printing. Mostly we have, in this case, a Muto ExpertJet. This is a UV flatbed printer, a small one, which supports the multi-layer printing. I have a question of Ariel. What is the difference between white 1 and white 2? Christophe already replies. Muto has 2 white channels as well for varnish. Some printers, they have only one white channel will be visible then. So in this case, the color mode is color, white, white, varnish, varnish. So this is the printing files as layers options. I have a question from Elisa. Is it possible to make a 3-layer print and mirror 1 layer, or do I need to mirror it before? Elisa, we recommend to mirror it before. So already in the design. You can use both white channels at the same time, yes. So this is the print files as layers option. I will go to the next feature in Flexi 21, as well something layer related in Production Manager. This is called the Adobe Illustrator layer support. So a lot of people are designing in Illustrator. Of course, I recommend to use Flexi. But in this case, if they are working with layers in Illustrator, for now, Production Manager will recognize the layers, and we can separate the layers. So we can split it in multiple pages. So I have a file, a PDF file that I'll import in Production Manager. This is a PDF generated in Illustrator with multiple layers. Vadim, you can use raster images too for the multi-layer feature. Christophe, are the layers printed in one go, or can you print them one after the other as well? I think it depends the driver, and you will have to use the driver options of the driver in Production Manager for like the pullback option. So make sure if you're using multi-layer jobs, use the driver options of the machine in the driver options tab of Production Manager. So here I don't know if you can see it well. There's a 21 here in the bottom. So we have a colored layer, we have a white layer, and we have a varnish layer. Here is 21, but it's purple. You can't see it well. But if we import the Illustrator file, we can right mouse click and we can select the option split job by layers. So if we split the job, you will see as well the layers printing pop-up box will open, and we can define the layers. So here you will see layer 0 is CMYK. That's also the name of my layer in Illustrator, as well for white and varnish. So I named my my layers so, and you will see the name of the Adobe Illustrator layer. As well, we can then map them to a channel, and we can press OK when finished. And in this case, we have a multi-layered job as well. So here you will see the 21 is only the varnish layer. And so in this case, we have split all the layers of the multi-page, multi-layered Illustrator PDF. Frederick, a question of Frederick, can we change the printing sequence, colors white varnish or white colors varnish? Yes. As well, depending the driver, you can choose the print mode, of course. I have a question of Abdul. Is it available in Flexi 12? No. All the features that I'm showing right now are all Flexi 21 features. So they are exclusive in 21. Of course, you have the availability to upgrade your version, but regarding upgrades and purchasing of Flexi 21, my colleague Andy will cover this in a few minutes, in 20 minutes or so. So Frederick, you can always contact your printer vendor or your reseller to have a look at the print modes you can use. If you have a combination color white varnish, you can probably do white color varnish as well, of course. Okay, so this is the printing files as layers and the Adobe Illustrator layer support. For most people, this will be a niche feature, but this is new. And for people who are using white varnish and spot color channels combination, this is a very useful tool. As well as something which is new in Flexi as well is the JIG Template Printing. So let's take a look at this new feature. So the JIG Template Printing is a feature for arranging the jobs to be printed on a substrate with specific size and regions. So this is mostly combined with UV printers that are using a pre-milled JIG. So for example, for printing on phone covers, lighters, pens, and so on, we have created a very nice new tool, which is called a JIG Template Printing. So to open the JIG Template Printing feature, go to the default job properties of the driver. So in this case, we are using the Muto ExpertJet 661 UF. And in the first tab, in the layout tab, you will see the option JIG template. So define JIG layout. We open this box and you will already see the preview of a JIG. So I don't know if all the attendees right now know, is it clear what I'm talking about, or do I have to show an example? The practical example for, okay. Okay, so imagine we want to print on a UV flatbed printer and we need a template to fill to fill our jobs. So in this case, we want to print our entrance cards. So this is like this format. The dimensions are like a bank card, almost the same. So you can compare it a bit with the size of a bank card. So of course we need to set up the JIG. Very useful here is we only need to set up it once, as we can save it in a preset and we can use a preset always in a later stage. So this is very useful. So first we need to set up the media size. So this can be the size of our pre-milled JIG. Let's say we have a JIG of 30 by 20, for example. You can set margins. Of course, the JIG size is important. So in this case, we have 8.5 by 8.5 by 5.5 job. You can set as well margins, but we leave it to 0 centimeters, as well as the spacing between the copies. We can set, in this case, let's say we have 1 centimeter horizontally and 1 centimeter vertically. As well, very important, we can set the origin of the template. So in the first stage, you will have to measure it a bit, play with the test print. But when you have the origin, you can set it here as well. So you can set an origin. We can as well print the JIG layout so we can send it to a other device to have a preview of the layout. So you can see if it fits or not. Most important is we can save the JIG layout. So webinar, for example. Now the layout is saved as a JIG preset. Press OK. And in the default job properties, to apply the JIG layout, make sure you have the checkbox Apply JIG Layout on. So what I want to try is we have variable data, but I want to print the variable data in the JIG layout. So we can go to rip and print and send the variable data. So selection only. I want to send the variable data. Let's remove the cut contour first, because I don't need to cut it. Clear contour cut. Rip and print. And I'll use the option hold the list. So I send the jobs to the production manager. So send. It will process and generate a file in production manager. It's in the wrong, it's not in the correct queue. So I'll move it to the expert chat. Okay. We open the job and you'll see there is no JIG template applied yet. But of course, we can hit the box apply JIG layout. Define and choose the webinar preset. Press OK. Reapply it and rotate. Okay. And you'll see my variable data is, so all my jobs are applied in the JIG. Very clean. So in this case, we have created multiple jobs because we have created a JIG with only 9 copies. Okay. As well, we can add the file of the back of the card. Or the front. Where is it? Okay. And we can make copies. We can make copies to this one. Let's say 30 copies and apply the JIG. Like so. Very clean. Very nice example here. So first you can print the front, afterwards you can print the back with the same template. All those settings, of course, you can save in a general preset of your production manager, so you don't have to select your webinar template every time. Anyone questions regarding this new feature? Okay, so I hope everything is clear. I know there's a lot of information, but of course, in the future, we will have separate webinars of a unique feature. This is just to show you guys the first new features of Flexi 21 with some basic examples, just to show you what is new, of course. Okay, and the last feature of the production features I want to show is the output channel preview. So I'll delete the files and I'll import the job in Production Manager. And this is just a color job without any spot colors. Okay, I'll open the job. And depending the print mode you're using, so in this case, I have the color mode CMYK white varnish. I can go to the output channel preview and select preview output channels. Okay, and it will load you the separations, and you will see how the output, you can see a preview of the output. So I have my cyan layer, I have my magenta layer. I can combine both as well. I have my black layer. And you'll see my white and my varnish layers are empty. This is because I don't have any white data generated. What can we do? For example, I have my spot settings in the driver tab, and I select white is undercolor, for example, or let's say variable undercolor. Okay, and if we go back to the output channel preview, it will load. You'll see the clock here. You can go back to the cyan, magenta, yellow, separation, black, and probably now see if I check the white channel, you'll see how it will output my data in a preview. So this is a very nice tool to see which print data will be outputted by the software. This is a just a bitmap image. I'll import the file with some spot colors in. So I have spot white and I have spot varnish colors generated in the file, so in the design stage. Okay. I'll open the job. As well, I'm using the color mode, of course, CMYK white varnish. And I go to the separation step, and you'll see I have an underbase layer. I'll edit this one and map it to a white one. I have a finisher layer, so this is my varnish layer. I'll print as varnish 1. Okay, and if I then go to the separation, to the output channel preview tab, and I preview the output channels, you can check the CMYK data. I have the white data, so I have an underbase under my skull, but as well I have made the teeth of my skull as a varnish layer, for example. Can you add underbase to both whites? So if you select in so for now you have white 1 mapped to underbase. So a question of Ariel, can you add underbase to both white? If you go to the driver options and spot settings, here you can set the settings for every separate channel. So if you select same as white 1, as white 2, it will use the same color option, spot color option. Of course, you can as well make, for example, another spot color called underbase 1, and you can map that channel to white 2. So that's possible, of course, as well. So if you add multiple spot colors, you can map multiple channels too. Okay, so this is the new output channel preview tool in Flexi 21. Okay, so those were the most important production features. I hope you guys are a bit excited. Of course, for flatbed. Okay, thanks, Christophe, for the feedback. So for most UV CMYK white varnish users, we have enabled some nice unique features. Now I will show some contour cut features that are new in the software, which will reach a lot of customers. This first one is the custom contour cut line name and color features. What does it mean? Meaning there are customers that are using contour cuts, but they are created by a client, by another customer, and they are not using cut contour as spot color. So Production Manager Flexi, they will not recognize the line as a spot color. I have a nice example here. So I will import a job. Cut line. I'll add the job. I will also show the job in Adobe. Just to show you how it's made. Okay, so this is the file that, for example, I have received by someone who designed this one. So if I go to the output preview, I have to drag this here. You will see there is a cut contour named Snellen. This is the Dutch word of cut contour. So this is probably not recognized by Production Manager and Flexi in version 19, in version 12, in earlier versions. But now what can we do? We can set Production Manager so that it recognizes the name Snellen as a cut contour line. So I imported the job and we'll see print job. So Production Manager does not recognize the cut contour line. So we can't generate a print and cut job. We can only print this one. Very unfortunate. Earlier we should have contacted the customer to make to make a new cut contour, or we had to import this in Flexi and make this a cut contour. For now, we can change this and we can go to the settings, the default job, properties of the printer, go to the cut tab, and here this is the new option, set cut line color. So we go to set cut line color and we set the name of the spot color name, so of the line that we're using, spot color name, and so we type the word Snellen, so the Dutch word of cut contour. We can already add a cut condition or a strategy to the spot color name. So, okay, we leave it at cut fast. And for display only, we can give it a color. For example, blue, because just to display it, our color was a blue spot color line. Press OK, and you'll see there will be an extra cut strategy added to default job properties. Apply OK. If we now import the job, the PDF file, Christophe, yes, it has to be a spot color. So it has to be a spot color, but it doesn't have to be named cut contour anymore. Otherwise, Production Manager will not recognize it. So now we see it's a print and cut job. So Production Manager recognized the spot color line. So if we go to the Cut tab, you'll see the Snellen spot color is recognized. As well, here a new feature in Flexi 21 is the cut contour preview. So we can see the cut contour preview when we select the cut contour preview feature. I have a very good question of Michael Caruso. How can you identify the cut line name without Adobe Pro? So you can either import this file in Flexi first. In Flexi. No, I think there's a better way to do it. Let's import the file in another on another printer driver. Open the file. Double click. Then let's check the separation step. And here as well, you will see it's the Snellen channel. Okay. Is this an answer to your question, Michael? All right. So this is a very nice feature in 21. It will, but I don't know. I forgot what I want to say. I'm sorry. This will make your life easier and save a lot of time with a lot of customers that are receiving files of other design companies, for example. Okay, the last feature I want to show, the last one, is the contour cut feature called Artboard Contour Cut. So this is a very nice feature in Flexi 21. Before we had to have a cut contour in the file to generate a cut contour job. Now it's possible to import a file and tell Production Manager generate artboard contour cut around the job. I want to show this with a quick example. So I'll import a job. A stock photo. So this job doesn't contain any cut contour data. So we can only print the file, we can't cut it afterwards. What can we do here is we can import it again in Flexi, create a cut contour job and send it. But now there's a much more easier way. We can import the job in Production Manager, double click it. We'll set some copies as illustration. We go to the workflow tab, and here we can say cut along page border. Okay, and we can as well set a margin. So for example, we want to cut inside the photo. So we set a margin of 0.5 centimeters, for example. Okay, press OK. So you will see as well, Production Manager will add the marks for cutting registration around the job. As well, Okay, so we can now send the job. I will send the job, send cut path to the following device. So it will send the job to our Suma device. I press send. It will read the data. I have a very good question of Lee. So it will rip the job. And after the printing stage, it will generate a Artboard Contour Cut job for our cutting device. I have a question of Lee. I've noticed in Production Manager job properties, the units are in centimeters. Can you change it to millimeters? Yes, you can go to Edit, Preferences, and here you can change the units to millimeters or to inches or meters. So the job is printed here in the Suma queue. You will have the Artboard Contour Cut generated. As well, we can change the cut condition, of course. So you can import a job without cut contour, and Production Manager will add a border around it to cut afterwards. Okay, very useful. Last but not least, before I'll give the mic to my colleague Andy about the commercial stage, I have a question of Edwin, but that's only possible with a print and cut printer, right? No. Yes, the crop marks are there, but wait, I'll import the job again. So make sure in the default job properties, you have set the cut path. You can already set the cut along page border as well. And in the marks tab, you can enable the marks. We make some copies. Cut along page border. Okay. Opus marks is enabled. I'll press OK, and you'll see the Opus marks, see, for the cutting device. So the marks are enabled. You can use a barcode if you want, for example. So you'll see the barcode as well. For example, you can do this with a multi-page PDF as well. So if you have a PDF file with multiple pages, you can import them, and as well you can add the contour cuts. So you don't have to redesign it or add the cut contour in Flexi or something. So if you have 100 copies in one PDF file, you can import it and add an Artboard Contour Cut around it. Very nice. Russell, do we not have to send cut as file and use Suma control software? We can control the Suma with the Production Manager, of course. Russell, you are free. You are free to use the Suma control software and send it to file. You can as well connect the Suma device directly to Production Manager and ignore the Suma control software. I have a question of Fabio. How about the Opus extra marks? I will import the file again. And new in Flexi 21 is the extra marks for opos. In the marks tab, you have options, and here you will have the opos extra mark for Suma devices and HP, of course. So if you now add multiple copies, you will see the Suma extra mark is there as well, for more accuracy, of course. Okay, Fabio? Good question. I think you have to play with margin, Christophe, to cut. It should, when you set this to minus, the margin, it will cut inside inside the job, yes. I think the preview is not, yes, like so. So if you set the margin to 0, you will cut inside the image. The preview is just not representative to the output in this case. Okay, I see some other questions. One moment. Lee, how do you nest multiple different print jobs into one print? You can use the nesting option, which is already available for a long time. There are some nice YouTube videos in there. Maybe someone that is attending can give the link of the nesting video in Flexi. Frederick, how does Production Manager consider page? Is this the trim box? So, of course, in Production Manager, you have the option to change the media box using the PDF page size. So if you have a job with trim marks, for example, you can set use media box or use Artbox, for example, to remove the marks first and then add the Artboard Contour Cut job. But we have a lot of issues with Flexi working with Illustrator files, logos that contain a lot of data and transparencies within the files. As Flexi 21, any improvements that help with this? But yes, we have a more stable Production Manager. If you have any issues with the file, please send a message to support, or contact our support service, and we will take a look at it for sure. Russell didn't realize it was possible in Production Manager. Is there a tutorial on setting that up anywhere? Yes, we have some very basic YouTube videos on our YouTube channel. Okay. Can you also create cut contour of detailed vector-based files? Elisa, in Production Manager, Production Manager only Artboard for cut contour, which is shape cut contour, I advise to use Flexi. Okay, so guys, let's wait for questions now. I will show the last feature. Of course, there are some other features as well, but we'll publish the full feature list soon. And as well, we will do webinars on those features because I don't want to spend your whole day, of course. So the last thing I want to show is a very useful, it can save you a lot of time and frustration, is user data backup. The feature called user data backup. So if you go to Edit Preferences in Flexi, you will see there is a box called Backup. And here you can choose a folder to back up all your preferences, workspaces, templates, as well as Production Manager, presets, ICC profiles, and so on. And you can even back up them now, or you can back up them automatically for example, by default, this is checked every 30 days. So meaning if you lose all your settings, you can back up and restore all your settings using the restore option in Edit Preferences to restore all your settings. So for now, let's say a Flexi 21 user can't lose his jobs and settings anymore. Even with the crash, so if you have unstable before your Windows 10 update. Yes. So make sure you make backups now because it's possible in Flexi 21. Backup all your jobs and settings is very, very important and can save you a lot of time. So you can set, for example, backup every 7 days, and it will backup every 7 days all the things you want to backup, of course. And you can set a backup folder, for example, on a server drive or a server location. Rob Janssen, is it possible to backup version 19 and restore it on 21? No. In this case, if all new Flexi 21 users, if they install Flexi 21 and the install manager pops up, it will ask you, do you want to import all Flexi 19 settings? Yes or no. If you click yes, the installer will import and copy all the jobs and settings to the new installation. So this is as well new. When installing Flexi 21, it will give you the option to restore previous settings, jobs and settings of your previous version. Okay. Miles, question, I'm considering upgrade to Windows 10 from 7 Pro. Is that likely to cause any problems? No. I would recommend to do that. Yes, of course you will have to update your USB drivers. But that's not Flexi related, Christophe. Okay. So I think I can